Hello and welcome to North Star Stamper. Excuse me, I'm Sue Creamer. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Minnesota. Uh-oh, I have to get... You don't want to hear me twice. There we go. I have my tablet going so I can see your comments when you comment during my live. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully you know where you can find me. If you're in need of Stampin' Up! Products, you can find me at northstarstamper.stampinup.net, and that's where you can go to shop. I do have a website, northstarstamper.com. Go check it out. See what I have there. That's a good way to contact me. There's a contact form there. Or you can email me directly at northstarstamper@gmail.com. So I have a few things to share before we get started. I don't know if you saw my pre-post that I'm talking about no-line watercoloring today. I've tried it a few times before, and I think I've learned some tricks, so stick with me. First, we're going to do a couple commercials. Celebration continues through the end of this month, and Stampin' Up! Has added these 10 items to the Celebration offering. Some are free with a $50 purchase, and these 4 are free with a $100 purchase. I believe the Aspen dies are the only one in the July through December mini, and the rest of them are all in the annual catalog. I have two things to share with you. These craft gift boxes, they're on page 140 in the annual catalog here, and I just realized this because I saw somebody use them the other day. These are big. I thought they were small, like playing card size, but they are actually 4.5 by 6 5/8 by 3/4 of an inch deep. So our basic A2 cards will fit in these boxes. That would be a great way to gift people greeting cards that we make. I didn't realize that till, like I said, about a week ago I saw somebody decorate those. And then the other thing I know I have the brush metallic, but I couldn't find it in the last 10 minutes. But I do have the silver foil. Sorry for the noise. And let's see. Excuse me. You get 3 sheets. So I don't know if you can see. Let me stand up so I like to see what you can see. This is a matte, and it's silver, but it's got kind of a purple tinge to it. You can see I haven't used that one yet, and I haven't used this one either. This is more of a dark, they called it silver, but this is almost like, I don't know, charcoal silver, again with a purple tint to it. Oh, that's kind of pretty in the light. And then this is all I have left of the basic silver, which is very shiny. So this one is matte and these two are shiny. There's like a green to it. So that's what the silver foil here looks like. I've been including this in my newsletter, so if you sign up for my newsletter, you'll get lots of information from me weekly. Again, you can sign up at northstarstamper.com. You can sign up for my newsletter. Let's see, do I have people? Yay, I have people joining me. Hello, hello. And so far I see family. It's always fun to see family. So I am offering, excuse me, 2 packs of Designer Series paper. Let's see, I've included just samples. There are 4 by 6 pieces. I have, let me spread them out. I have a Wash and Beauty, Hues of Happiness, Texture Chic. This one is Rustic Harvest and Boughs of Holly. I did have to write them down. I don't have them all memorized at the top of my head. So if you comment on my video on Facebook or YouTube, and let me know where you're watching from. You could just do city and state. Or if you're overseas, you will definitely be getting one of these if you let me know where you're watching from. So these are going to go to my viewer farthest away from me on Facebook and YouTube. I always like to know where people are from. When I look at somebody's website, I do look at other demonstrators quite often. I always want to know where they are. And I don't know why that is, but I want to know where you're watching me from. So this is my incentive to you to let me know where you're watching me from. These are, let's see, the first 3 were in the annual catalog. These last 2 are in the mini catalog. And so they're, excuse me, double-sided pattern papers. Lots of fun to play with. And I just want to share. So sign up or let me know where you're watching from by 6 o'clock Friday night. And so one pack will go to my Facebook viewer and YouTube viewer that are farthest from me, that comment where you're watching from by Friday at 6 o'clock. I just want to know where you are. So that's my way to share some things. I think that's everything I have for now. So, no line watercoloring. I will share the basics behind it. I'm not a painter. I wish I were. And that's why I think I like stamping so much, that I can take a stamp, and this one is from the Blessings of Home, and this was this. And so what you do is you use a light colored ink. I'm going to use Sahara Sand. You stamp off once, stamp on your paper, and then you watercolor it. Well, the first few times, like this one, I just colored it like I do everything else I color. Not that one. So that's the same thing. And when I'm coloring, let's say, with a blend, I just kind of color it in. I trust that Stampin' Up! Has done all the work for me, and I know they have. So that was Light Fresh Freesia. Then I take dark, and where these lines are that Stampin' Up! Has given us, the designers, I add some dark where the lines are, and then I smooth it out with my light. And that's how I color my images. Again, this is, I think I mixed these up. This one is light mint macaron. So I would just color kind of haphazardly. The blends markers are very forgiving, and I just happen to grab light shaded spruce. And then I use a darker color to add lines. So Stampin' Up! Has given us the vein of the leaf, and then I go back with, okay, so that's how I color with blends. I would do that with markers. I would probably do that with ink from my pad and a water painter. But then when it comes to no line watercoloring, I forgot that I'm supposed to be watercoloring, not just coloring in like I do here. This is Sweet Sorbet on my hearts here. And that one, I always like to know where things are from. Where did it go? That's from Cheerful Basket. That's the stamp here, the hearts. So that's using blends and shading it a little bit and all that, just like I did here. But then I realized that I'm supposed to be watercoloring, and this is okay, not my favorite. So I played around some more. I think I watched maybe half an hour of videos on YouTube about watercoloring. And so when I did this one, I remembered that I'm supposed to be watercoloring petals, and I'm supposed to be watercoloring the stem, and I'm watercoloring the leaf. I'm not just coloring in my stamped image, if that makes sense. I'm hoping this is making sense. So this image is from Nature's Harvest, and that's that one. Let's see, what was I going to share about that? And let's see, I'm getting distracted. So I did this no line watercoloring. Maybe we'll do this one first. So I'm going to use Sahara Sand, and my image is already on a block. It's a photopolymer. I'm still going to use my mat for a little cushion there, because there's no cushion on the photopolymers. Excuse me. I do, sorry, I think I need water. I do prefer doing this on watercolor paper. It can take a lot more water than basic white or very vanilla could. You can see this is warped, and I didn't use all that much water on it. So if you have the watercolor paper, I strongly suggest that. If not, the white will work, and we'll actually use white on this image. Okay. So holler or ask questions as I go along. So Sahara Sand, I'm going to stamp off once and then stamp it on my paper. Again, this is basic white, regular, not thick. I've heard that shimmery white is better to use. I just didn't happen to grab it. So a light color. I'm sure Crumb Cake, Smoky Slate, just any pale color. I would go with a neutral. I guess I could have used like a petal pink and then it would really blend in. I could have tried that, but that's okay. And next we're going to take our ink. You can use the ink from your, squish it. Here, I can show you. So you squish this hard and you get ink in there. I am preferring to use my, a black. And you do need a brush. I like our water painters. I can get it as moist or keep it as dry as I want when I'm doing this. So to create these, let's see if you have any questions. Hello, thank you for telling me where you are. It's kind of fun to see where you're from. Thank you. Okay, so I'm just going to add some ink to the side of my brush. So I just tried to keep it on this side, and you can see this side is still clear, or not colored. And I'm gonna excuse me, watercolor the back. I'm gonna start with the back hearts like that. I don't know if I like them on my paper towel. Let's add some more. I don't know if I'm making sense. There, they've come together a little bit. So I'm putting the dark on the outside and swirling around to make the round shape of the heart. And I'm not worrying too much about the bottom of my heart. Let's skip one and go over here. So I am using my brush to create the shape of the heart. And later on, we'll do it to create the shape of the petal. Like I said, I'm just learning. Let's see here. I want my bristles, maybe add more water. My bristles are separating and I don't want that. There we go. All right, so now we're going to go to this one. I skipped this heart and we'll come back to it. So I'm using the shape of the stamped image to show me the shape of my heart. And then I'm going to move forward and do the other hearts. I'm going to finish this one because I do want you to see where I'm going here. Shape of the heart. I do have a die cut for this, so if I go below, it'll still fit into my basket. So this is what I'm using. And you can see I've covered up a heart here, and I'm just going to kind of form it around. So I'm keeping the ink on the side there because my brush is so big. I thought this worked pretty well. All right, let's finish that one. All right, and then I've got, if you remember from last week, I'm just going to clean off on here. Actually, I'm going to clean off my block on here too. And then I'll use this for die cutting and get some really fun coloring combinations. All right, not wasting that ink. And there's just a little left on my brush. This is a good one. You can see that it's clean. So this is what this looked like when I was done. I didn't think they really looked like hearts. They kind of look like hearts, but if I put them in the basket, people wouldn't know what that was. So what I did on this one, I'm going to let this sit for a minute while I take a drink of water. Now I'm going to use Memento black ink. Make sure my stamp is clean. So I'm going to ink this up. And it is going to approximate. I'm going to stand up so I can see what I'm doing. Because I used my stamp image to show me where to create my hearts, it's very, very close. And I kind of like the look of that. You can tell that I didn't just color them in, that I actually did something different, in this case, watercolor. So I thought those would be kind of cute in the basket. So that was one idea. Let's look at this one. And did I show you my sample? I, to be honest, was kind of pleased with this one. Again, I use Sahara sand. Is this going to be big enough? Yes. Ink it up with Sahara sand. Stamp off once. Excuse me. This is watercolor paper, so I will have more time to play around with the ink colors, and I can add a lot more water than I can with the basic white. The colors I have here were, those were Fresh Freesia and Mint Macaron. I'm going to switch to Highland Heather. I'm going to make these purple. Alright, and by putting my ink on a block instead of in the well of my ink pad to create the, sorry, to create the center of my flowers, I had looked online. Excuse me, I knew they were cone flowers, so I did an internet search on cone flower, and then I selected image, and it looked like this had a little bit of orange in it. So to my Fresh Freesia, I added some Calypso Coral, and I mixed them together to get that color. I thought that was kind of fun. So we're going to use Highland Heather. This time, I'm going to use a different brush. Excuse me. For those hearts, I did use the wide one, and I think this is the middle-sized one. And can you see the image there? It's light enough that I can see where I want where my image is, but it's not dark enough that you'll be able to see through here. So I'm going to add some water. Again, this is watercolor paper, so I can add more water and it's not going to buckle. Now, I have to remember that I'm watercoloring. I'm not just coloring a stamped image. So I'm going to add color to my leaves, but I'm going to try to make them the shape of a leaf. Like I said, I'm not a watercolorist. To learn more, I would suggest you watch some videos on YouTube. That's probably the best place to learn. That was not as good as the other one I did. So I'm just going to pull it out and pull it back. So the stamped image is just showing me where I want things. Alright, so I'm skipping a couple, letting it dry because I do have a lot of water on my brush here. There we go. I'm going to clean off my block. It was really wet. Excuse me. What else can I share? Have you tried this? I'd be curious if you have tried no-line watercoloring before. Again, my brush is kind of wet. I'm just going to add petals. And the stamped image is showing me where to go. This flower I don't like so well, but I think that's good. I'm going to clean that off. I'm going to let those dry while I work on my stem. I always like to let watercolor images, no matter what I'm doing, dry before I add another color. Otherwise, the color I add is going to spread everywhere. So green, 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 green. We're going to use Mint Macaron. And again, I'm going to, excuse me, I'm still getting over COVID. Oh, I can share that while I color. You don't need me to describe everything I'm doing. So I was not sure I would be home to do a live video for you today. I was supposed to be in Michigan over the weekend for a family reunion, but as you can hear, we haven't quite recovered from COVID here. So we did not go to the family reunion, but I had already recorded a video for you. It is going to go live here on Facebook at 8:30, so I have to make sure I'm done by then. So if you want to keep watching, in that video I do more watercoloring, so if you're interested in learning more watercoloring, you can watch that. it also went live at 7:30 on YouTube because I figure you're here watching me on Facebook and you wouldn't be distracted by a YouTube video. All right, so this is kind of where I'm coloring like I would any stamped image, but I'm going along the lines of where the stamped image is, and I am trying to go outside the stamped image a little bit so that we cover up that excuse me, Sahara sand. So this one kind of wound around. All right. There we go. And then I'm going to go back in with the tip and add some of these fine lines. Where is my other one? Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. So this is what it looked like, the stamped image, and this is what we have so far. Excuse me. So I'm going to go back and just pick up some darker ink that has less water in it and add back some of those veins into my image. There we go. All right. Let's finish off our flowers. So I'm going to add some gorgeous grape for the middle of my flowers. And I'm looking at the stamped image and just, I don't know, trying to replicate what the artist did there. So I'm just touching to add color. I think on those I did swirl around and I didn't like how that looked. Touch, touch, touch. Just adding ink. We're going to add a little bit here in between. Alright. There are some places I can still see the stamped image, so I'm going to take a little bit, and I kind of want to hide it. I don't want people to know. That I stamped it. I guess I should have left it. Oh well. It works. Just gonna pull that out. Being watercolor paper, I can pull the ink out. There. Ta-da! Clean that off on my paper. And then obviously I would add that to a card. Some layers, some embellishments, maybe some twine, whatever. I will use one of these in my inspiration project in this week's newsletter. So sign up for my newsletter at northstarstamper.com. If you didn't know, could you tell that was a stamped image? I couldn't. Obviously, I'm new at watercoloring, but let Stampin' Up! Do the artwork and we'll add water or color in many different ways. I think this one is my favorite though. The hearts. So let me look through and see if you have questions. I'm curious if you've tried this before. Like I said, I've tried this several times and I just couldn't get it to look right. They always looked like this, and it's okay, but it looks to me like I tried to watercolor and I didn't really. So thinking about watercoloring made a big difference in these two, in this one, and then I learned. So let's see. Thank you for joining me. All right. Kathy says she hasn't tried it, not enough courage. It's just a little bit of paper. Start with something simple. Here I didn't have to do any shading, but I like the look of the different colors of Sweet Sorbet on that one, and that was the ink I used. And if it doesn't turn out like this one, I don't know if I will use it or not. I've never used any of my others before, but practice, practice, practice. Watch a couple YouTube videos about watercoloring to get the idea of brush strokes and that sort of thing. Okay, so if you missed it at the beginning, I am sending these Designer Series paper packets to my 2 viewers, one from Facebook, one from YouTube, who live the farthest from me, or are watching the farthest from me. Maybe you're on vacation and you're catching me somewhere else. So let me know by 6 o'clock Friday, 6 o'clock Central Time, Friday evening. And whoever has commented where they're watching from and is furthest from Woodbury, Minnesota, I will send those in the mail to you. Thank you for watching. I just want to know where you are. I'm kind of nosy that way, I think. So thank you for watching. Happy stamping. Kathy says she's in Ohio. I think so far that's furthest. I know somebody's watching further, but you have to comment. You have to comment where you're watching from. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Again, my pre-recorded video will go live at 8:30 Central Time here in a few minutes. What time are we at? About a half an hour. So try some watercoloring while you wait for me to go live on my video that I pre-recorded for tonight. We'll move on to something other than watercoloring next week. I do take suggestions. Let me know what you want to see, what you want to learn. And I don't know. We'll figure something else out for next week. Thank you for joining me. Happy stamping. Bye.